Blog Talk Radio.
The physical world is nothing more than a spiritual principle in motion.
You're now listening to Practical Spirituality with your host, Oasis, and co-host, Glammy Witch.
If it's not practical, it's not spiritual.
Don't we feel the same when we hear a baby laugh? Smell a rose from a beloved, or walk in the rain? We are all made of the same magic called life. Let us step together into a new earth.
All right. We are live. Glammy, are you
Yay!
on? Yay! It is good to be back. Glammy, how have you been?
Oh, it's been crazy, girl. I mean, I have to say, I am so glad. I know Mercury retrograde doesn't really, mess with you too much, but it has kicked my butt all the way up the street and back, and I'm so glad it's over.
You are not the only one.
No, I know.
You are
it
not
was rough.
the only one.
These last 2 weeks have been, I think, rough for a lot of people, so I know everybody's glad. You know, we got the solar eclipse. Thank you, Jesus, baby Jesus, and I'm just like, thank you. We need some good energies to work with, you know. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Well, we have some good energy tonight. Oh, wait a minute. I think the call dropped.
Oh,
well, we'll have to wait for her to call. Yeah, we'll have to wait for her to call back in and look like her call dropped. But we have some good energy tonight once our guests call back in. But for right now, I guess we can get into some of our topics like there we go. Let's bring her right on.
Do we have Marie?
Yeah, we have her on there. Let's bring her right on.
All right, so let's introduce everybody and then.
I'm here.
Yay!
Can you hear me?
Yep,
yes,
can.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Hello.
All right, so,
I can't hear you now.
Hey, Dia. So why don't you go ahead and introduce us real quick, and then we'll start getting into some hot stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second. First, let's introduce my lovely other host, co-host, Glammy Witch of Glammy Angel, who tonight is doing a beautiful, giving a chance for one lucky listener to get a live reading on air. So proud of that.
Absolutely.
I want to introduce, you can't hear Jade or see Jade, but Jade is the woman behind all the magic. This is her radio station, and she has allowed us to have our show here once a month. So I'm introducing Jade, even though you don't see her or hear her. You know, she has her own station, WTLC Talk Radio, where she does her own shows every Thursday night. And we also have as our guest the Azteca Soul Healer, which I want to learn so much more about that, Miss Maria herself. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you ladies tonight?
Great. We're doing great. Yeah, we're glad. I'm glad Mercury retrograde is over, which is what we were just talking about, and that we're working with some solar eclipse energies. Woo!
Yeah. We need it.
Yeah,
totally.
The worst days of Mercury retrograde is gone. So woo.
Oh, thank goodness.
So, Maria, we might as well get right on into the topic with you as our guest. Azteca Soul Healer, what does that mean? Tell me more about that. Am I saying it right?
Yes, you are. Azteca Soul Healers is is actually a business or a practice that is myself and my friend and coworker, Gloria Pita. It's an eclectic practice, and we both bring a lot to it. She is more of the soul healer, and she uses the tarot to help people through troubled times. And I'm more of a root worker, a curandera type person. So, I work with the deity I work with is Santa Muerte. A lot of people and my specialty is spiritual cleansing.
Okay.
So that's
And I was just going to say, for those who don't know how you go about doing cleansing someone from negative energies, why don't you explain the process?
The process I use is an egg. I use a whole raw egg, and because eggs are known to naturally absorb negative energy. So in the curandero tradition, eggs are used to draw out negative energy from people, from their auras. They're also known to heal some illnesses by rubbing the egg over the person's body to draw out that illness or that negative energy. But I take it a step further by, after I do the cleansing on a person, I then take the egg and break it into a glass of water, and I read the formations.
Which is my favorite part. I absolutely, that is so fascinating to me, and I think it's just so awesome that, this is a whole different form of divination, amazing.
It is. Yeah, and it's really great. No two readings are the same.
Right. And then I know that you also do it long distance. So, and you were telling me that you do the process a little bit differently because of the method that you use, and maybe you could talk about that briefly.
Yes, I do remote cleansings as well. And a few years ago, I was working for a gentleman who practiced the Silva method. It's S-I-L-V-A. Silva method, and it's a method that was developed by a gentleman from Texas back in the 60s. And basically what you're taught if you take one of the seminars is to take your brain waves down to the alpha level. And when your brain waves are at the alpha level, that's the level between sleepfulness and wakefulness. And it is said or known that in this state you connect to the universe and can then you absorb more information, you retain more information, you're able to do remote healings, that type of thing. So, I don't know if that's a similar way that other curanderas, to their clients, but it is the way that I connect to my clients remotely so that I can then do the cleansing.
Oh, I don't know. That's just amazing.
Yeah, this word is easy. I'm going to jack it up if I even try to say it. What does that actually mean for those of us who do not speak Spanish?
I'm sorry?
Curandera.
Spanish.
Curandera.
Yeah.
Oh, curandera means healer, and it's the feminine sense of the word. For male sense would be curandero.
Okay.
No,
now,
just amazing. I'm telling you.
My next question is because you seem to have a passion for it, and I could tell that you've been doing it for a while. What made you want to go public and start a business with it?
I wanted to be able to help as many people as I can. I'm not a spring chicken, so part of my practice is healing, and the spiritual cleansing is a big part of it, and I've always been told that I have a very high healing energy about me, and this is the way that I found that I can finally get out there and start helping as many people as I can.
Yeah, well, join the club, girl. Yep, you're part of the club now. So yeah, I mean, I just find it fascinating, and I love that it comes from this rich culture and this rich background. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about Santa Muerte a little bit for those who don't know her.
Okay, well, Santa Muerte has evolved from an Aztec goddess, from that era. And her original name, she was known as the Queen of the Underworld or the Lady of the Dead. And her name back in Aztec times was Mictecacihuatl. Say that 10 times fast.
I tried because I you know what? I did a video on her. And oh my gosh, girl, I was like, I just said in my video, you know what? I know I'm butchering this, but I'm just gonna get as close as I can get. But it's beautiful. But if you're not used to talking in that, in that manner, it's hard. Yeah,
and So she dates back to, like I said, the Aztec, and through time she has evolved to what she is now. She kind of looks like the Grim Reaper now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
she is a female.
Like that?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. So in origin, she didn't look like the way that she look now.
The way that she looks now, she's very similar to a Grim Reaper.
No. My question
what
was,
she's asking is what did she look like
now
originally? Yeah.
Yeah. What did she originally look?
I'm sorry?
What did she originally look like?
Oh, it's hard to describe what she looked like. It's really hard to describe what she looked like. She looked totally, completely different from how she looks now. All I can say is Google it. All I can say is Google it, and you'll find images of her.
That's very interesting. I'm darn sure going to Google. Thank you for that.
Yeah, right? I Google everything. If I don't know it, I either Google it or I find it on YouTube. YouTube has a video on everything. You name it, and you can watch a video on it. And it's even the strangest things you can put in there, and I can find stuff on it. So I think that would be awesome. But what I love is that, she's the Lady of the Dead, and, we're coming up on this time of the year where she's really got to be in her total element. I mean, this is, All Hallows Eve, it's Samhain, and what I love is that all these different cultures celebrate around the same time the same kind of holiday, which is, honoring the dead, because I think isn't the Day of the Dead also right around the same time frame?
Yes, actually, the Day of the Dead has been celebrated for over 4,000 years.
Wow.
It existed even before Mexico was Mexico, and before there was the Aztecs and the Mayans and all those indigenous people out there. And actually, the Aztecs had a festival that lasted a month, and it was during the ninth. Yeah, it was during the 9th month of the Aztec calendar, and it was a festival to honor their ancestors and to honor Santa Muerte or Mictecacihuatl.
Wow, I did
and
that.
It lasted
I didn't
a month.
know.
Yeah, and the festival, it usually started about the end of July, and it went through to mid-August, which was, which coincided with the corn harvest.
That makes sense.
Okay. And what's interesting is that Santa Muerte has two festival days, I guess, or celebration days where people, honor her, and one of them is August 15th, which makes sense because that's more or less about the time that her Aztec festival would have ended. And the other one is November 1st. So,
okay. Well, it makes sense that, that those are probably the two times of the year that the veils really part for her, and just she's much more accessible, and so is the spirit realm,
Exactly.
So, and that just kind of, and then, Dia, you were going to talk a little bit about Maman Brigitte.
Yeah, Maman Brigitte or Maman Brigitte. Brigitte. I like to say Brigitte better.
Me too.
I don't work with her too much, but I do know she is the wife of the Baron who, there's a Baron over every cemetery, and she's the wife of him, and you pay your respects to both of them. And the little bit of time that I did work with her, I do know that I have to say that I do work with her differently than traditionally supposed to, because I haven't really, structured myself around her yet. But I do know that she is not one to play with.
So, well, none of them are. Yes, none of these death goddesses of death and rebirth, they are no joke. I mean, you're talking Hecate, you're talking Oya, Mama Brigitte, Santa Muerte. I mean, these are just goddesses that will come in and wreck stuff up. I mean, they will just mess you up. So you got to have utmost respect.
My first trial with her, I gave her a purple candle, and the candle literally exploded. I was like, oh, alrighty then.
Yep. That's it. They do not play, and I love that about them because they're fierce and they don't take any crap, and they just lay it out for you, And the thing about working with them too, like Oya or Hecate or any of these goddesses of death, is if you don't handle your business in a certain amount of time, they're going to handle it for you. And you don't want that. You would rather just take care of your stuff and do what you got to do and not procrastinate, because when these ladies step in, oh, my goodness, it's a wrecking ball for real. Like, it's just like they will tear your stuff up.
Don't come to them with little stuff. Do not come to them telling them somebody needs $20. That is the wrong thing to do. Like, you don't want to go to them for, little stuff like that.
No. Yeah. You got to go for the big stuff, and especially when you're ready for a big clearing or a big cleansing, or you're ready for a big change. Then these are the big guns that you bring in, And my girl is Oya. I mean, I love her to death,
We both love her.
And I know. I mean, it's just funny because, I think that for both of us, we didn't even consider her as somebody to work with. Like for me, it was always all about Ochun. And so when Oya just kept popping up everywhere, and I was so stupid, so dense, I don't even realize that it's because she wanted me to work with her, and I'm just totally oblivious, and I'm doing videos about her, and I'm like, it took me a month to figure out, okay, hello, wake up, she's working with you. I mean, why do you think you're doing videos about her? And after that, once I just accepted that, it just made my whole life a lot easier. But, and it kind of just leads me into the other thing that I kind of wanted to just touch on briefly, and I don't know if you guys know anything about this, but do you guys have you guys ever worked with cemetery dirt or graveyard dirt?
I never have.
No.
Oh, girl, you don't know what you're missing.
No, I respect the cemetery, but I've never actually collected the dirt and brought it home, outside of wiping off a tombstone of a family member. I've collected that in Afghan. I brought it home when I used it as offerings, when I do ancestor worship, the way back when. But as far as working with the cemetery dirt, no, that I have not done.
Well, you know what? Somebody, when I first joined YouTube, one of the gals who she was doing a giveaway, and I didn't even know what it was for. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's when everybody. I don't know if you guys remember when everybody was doing a giveaway every week. Everybody was doing giveaways. It was getting really crazy. I have 10 extra subscribers, so I'm doing a video. So I'm doing a giveaway. It's like, what? I was like, what do you mean? But and I won her whatever it was, her little package, and she sent me amazing stuff. And she gave me this little baggie, and it smelled it smelled okay. And I rolled up my candle in it. I put the oil on it. I did a spell with it, and oh my goodness, I was like, what the hell? That thing just went. It went down so fast, and I called her up, and I was like, you got to tell me what's in this. I mean, this is amazing. She goes, it's cemetery dirt. I was like, what? I was like, you got me with cemetery dirt in my house, and I am the biggest chicken. I am a scaredy cat. I'm petrified of spirits and ghosts, and, and if she had, I would have missed out on something really, really great. if it had been up to me. Thank God they took it out of my hands. And when I saw how powerful this stuff was to work with, I was just like, oh, my goodness. Definitely got to keep, working with it because, and I'm still, what it reminds me of, too, and I have to get the nerve up to go get my own. I have been trying to build myself up to that for like a year. And I don't know if you guys remember when Katz and Jeannie were doing the videos where they were having to get the dirt from the cemetery, and then from she had to get some from like the police department and the fire department, and they were rolling up in the cars and they're trying to run and steal the dirt. Oh my God! Every time I think of graveyard dirt, I always think of those two trying to be in the night trying to run out of their car and grab it real quick and then get in. I was just like, oh, my God, that's hysterical. But that would be me. But if anybody ever goes to do that, you better make sure that you bring a gift. If it's Oya, from what I remember, because it's been a long time, you have to offer her nine pennies. Yeah, and then you have to ask
but you have
first.
To make sure it was. I'm sorry, with the copper pennies, what most people don't know is that the pennies nowadays are no longer copper. So you have to check and make sure your pennies are before, I believe, 1980 or 1982, or it may even be 1970. You have to check the exact date. I had it written down somewhere.
Pennies.
But you have to get the older pennies to make sure they're copper.
Right, and then make sure you cover your head and make sure that you are protected before you go in. And you wear a scarf, cover your head. But, I mean, if you have the guts to do it, it will definitely amp up your spell work. So I totally recommend it, especially if you work with deities like Hecate or Santa Muerte or Oya or Maman Brigitte, any of those gals. And that I totally recommend it. And I still have to just get my gumption up. My thing is I'm not even afraid of the spirits. I just don't want anybody chasing me off, I'm trying to run. Yeah, I just be so embarrassed. I'm not even afraid of the spirits at this time.
Well, that's why I used to do, instead of actually collecting dirt, that's why I never actually collect dirt. With my family members that passed on, I would just take a little napkin and then just wipe their tomb and see all the dirt on a napkin. And then I just rip the napkin up and use it in offerings and stuff. So I'm not actually collecting dirt. But then again, I don't use certain all these different spells. I just use their ancestral worship. So all I needed was just a little napkin, and then I had it in the safe place on the ancestor altar. Well, actually, at that time, I had my ancestor altar hidden. It was a mobile one, but I had it in the safe place. So when I went to contact them, I would use part of that dirt off the napkin, rip the napkin up, and either put it in the incense or put it somewhere where I was offering. Put it in the offering or put it in the incense I was using for divination or whatever. That's how I did it. I don't know.
Right.
I haven't done cemetery spells. I don't know if you need more dirt than that.
Yeah,
per spell, but that's how I used to do it.
I just put, I just did my, whatever typical ritual. And, of course, this is really powerful when you want to kind of just honor. And we're going to talk about that, too, about just having an ancestor altar and what that is. But I had just used some oils, and I had rolled the what she put together. And I burned that candle down. So that's another way to do it, to also, honor the ancestors. And for those of you who don't know what ancestor worship is or ancestor rituals, it's really what All Hallows Eve and what this day is all about. It's really about the veil thinning between both worlds, between the spirits that have passed on and our world. You guys go to break?
Yeah, we're going to go to break, and when we come back into that, we can get into the whole history of the ancestor worship. And the thinning of the veils is actually very interesting to me because, I have it from an astrology perspective. But we want to get back into that. Maria, you still able to hang out with us?
Oh, yeah, I'll be here.
Okay, for those of you who are listening in through the computer or some other device and you would like to call in, the number is 347-989-8851. Remember, to win the live free reading, you must be called in. I must be able to see your number on here, and you have to press 1, and that reading will be done towards the end of the show. So don't press 1 yet unless you have a question. But everything does in the show. Again, the number is 347-989-8851. We are chilling with the lovely Glammy and our special host, the Azteca Soul Healer, Miss Maria, and we will be going to commercial break, and we'll see you soon. Harvest your abundance now with me, Oasis of OrioOasis.com. Learn the secrets practical, simple steps that I personally use that's keeping you from your harvest. Alrighty, that is definitely the wrong commercial. Let's see if I can find the right one real fast, because that is so the wrong one. But all right, okay. So I can't find the right one, so I guess we're just going to skip the commercial break and just go keep the show rolling. How about that?
Okay, cool. Sounds good. All right. So we were going to talk about like what the significance is of the timing of the the lifting of the veils and how that fits into everything, how it ties it all in.
What's the okay? According to astrology, it's the way it's kind of okay. According to astrology, basically this time of year, or the thinning of the veils, is basically the time where day and night is even. Mm-hmm. So with day and night being even, they consider it, because one is not longer than the other, they consider the veil to be the thinnest. Right. Excuse me. Now, there's other times when the veil is very thin, and in order to study that, you have to study the ley lines of the earth and the ley lines of your area and see which times they're most active, and that's when the veil is most thinnest too, and that's actually on a daily basis. And this is one of the reasons why most people into the craft do more stuff at night. That's a hint for y'all. Do more stuff at night under the moon. But other than that, when the veils are thinnest between worlds, or basically when it's that in-between world, you have time to tap into different, I want to say auras, not different dimensions. So you're able to tap into that spiritual dimensions, and they're able to contact us more. And this is one of the reasons why. And also, we always honor them going into the dark of the season. We honor the ancestors going into the dark of the season, because those are the ones who protect us through the winter and showed us things. A lot of times, I don't know if anybody else ever been freeze or cold, but you just like you can hallucinate in the heat, you can hallucinate in the cold. But a lot of times those hallucinations will bring you stuff. So, but from an astrology perspective, it's just basically the time where day and night is one of the other times. There's another time, again, depending on which side of the earth you are, when day and night is actually even. But as far as history and lore around it, it's considered, the time where we can connect to our ancestors. And I know from my perspective, I do astrology, so y'all can cover the other stuff. That's exactly what it is. It's that, it's that time of the year when everything, everything is day and night are perfectly even. And, it does happen 2 times a year. And it's also just in between the autumn equinox and I think the winter solstice. So it falls right in between there. And it's just amazing how, all of these things just, that's why these things have been happening for thousands of years, just because of, where they fall on, on the calendar year. I mean, or, just the year. It's just amazing to me. So, and then, Marie, do you want anything you want to add to that?
No, you guys have covered what I know.
Okay. Well, the thing about Samhain is and to me, this time of the year, I could always feel a difference. There was something different in the air. Like, it just made me feel completely different than it did all year round. And I couldn't understand it, because I'm not into Halloween. I don't like the fall itself. I don't like winter, and I couldn't understand why I felt good. So when I first learned about Samhain as being one of the Sabbats, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense to me. So I think what I'm going to do is that's going to be because it's like the Celtic New Year. It's like the end. And I think that's going to be my new year. Even though I have nothing to do, like with the Celtic or the Gaelic backgrounds, it kind of just makes sense to me. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to be my new year, because I need it. I'm like, I'm done with 2014. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm excited. I'm like, okay, great. I'm ready to start a new year on November 1st. Amen.
Well, it is considered. It is considered in some traditions as a witch's new year. So, yeah, there you go.
Wow. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. Wow. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's definitely for me.
I wanted to say that so far, leading up to the day of Samhain, this year has been much easier on me than last year. Last year was crazy. I had so many family members that passed on, and so many other friends that passed on. I had so many, remember, I had so many spirits visiting me last year around this time, And I thought I was going crazy. So I'm like, who are you? And they would tell me stuff, and I'm like, okay, all right. And it wasn't like the normal way that they
that
normally
sounds
visit
familiar.
me.
I remember. I think I remember when you were going through that. That's so funny.
Yeah, I had a few of your peeps visit me, and I was like, what is going on? Remember your grandmother came out, and we found out, and then I was like, why does she keep talking about her cookbook? Why does she keep talking about her cooking? And you was like, she was famous for one of her recipes?
Yes, yep, yeah. How that is. Yep, and she had that recipe. Yeah, she had that recipe put in a newspaper at one point when she was younger. I mean, they put her recipe in the paper and published it. So that's how good it was. And that's why she was bringing it up and talking to you about it, because she's very, very, very proud of that. So I'm not surprised that that's what she came through with. But I don't know. I know for me, a year that was really bad was 2008. Oh my gosh, everybody was dying in my family. I was like, what the heck is going on? I mean, that was really crazy. But this year's it's just been crazy busy. I think that this year went by so fast. I don't know about everybody else, but it's just been like a whirlwind. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, it's been going by crazy fast.
So let's get into some things let's start talking about ancestors since we already did get into some things that we normally do or suggest doing. So I'm going to start with you, Miss Maria. I like calling you the Azteca Healer. It just sounds so sexy to me. But
it does.
It does. This is so sexy. Miss Azteca Soul Healer, what do you do as far as, or do you do ancestral worship? And if you do you mind share with how you do it, or in the tradition that you're from, how they normally do it?
Especially what's funny is that. I'm sorry?
I was just saying, especially for a day of like Samhain, if they would do anything special those days.
In my family, we've, at least not here with me and my immediate family, my mother, my father, we never really did do anything traditional for Dia de los Muertos or anything like that. But, it is a time to reflect, and Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is a joyous celebration. It's not, a ho-hum type of thing, So it is a time to, be happy and think about all the good times of, of your family. And it's, like I said, we've never really traditionally celebrated on Dia de los Muertos. What we do, which is kind of funny, is on Christmas Eve, we always make tamales for Christmas Eve. And that's when we talk about our ancestors. That's when we talk about our family that has passed on. It's kind of funny because my mom and I have 4 daughters, and we all get together and make the tamales, and we just, we stand around and we sit, we laugh while we're making the tamales and talk about the good times and the funny times and stuff. So, that's when we do that's kind of like when we do our thing. But I was kind of thinking of kind of incorporating a Samhain tradition, of dumb dinner or remember this, where you make a dinner and it's and you set up plates for your ancestors or for your beloved people who have passed on, and you basically eat the dinner without talking. But but in my family, there's no way that would ever happen.
I don't think
we're too loud and obnoxious.
There's no way. I don't think in my family either.
I think I'd have to do it by myself.
That would be the only right, and I would have to put a piece of tape on my mouth because I talk to myself. So that would be, I would totally not be able to honor anybody. I'd be like, put a piece of tape on it. That's the only way I'm going to be quiet for, an hour. Oh, I don't even know if that's possible.
I do want to take up a more traditional Day of the Dead celebration, especially because, I have a few close family members that have passed on now. And the other thing, too, is like in the past, I didn't have close family members that had passed on, but now I do.
I agree. That makes, and I think that makes a total difference for you to have that connection, because I don't think that the Day of the Dead would have any real meaning if you hadn't had people who had passed on that you were really close to. Like if you were just doing it to worship, your bloodline or your ancestors in your bloodline, you would do it dutifully as a duty, but I don't think that, it would be the same as when you start losing people who are close to you, and it takes on a totally different context. I mean, it's just totally different when it's people that you really love and you really cared about, and that just takes it to a whole nother level. Me personally, I mean, I just started doing this like 3 years ago, and it's funny because that's, again, I was friends with Kat, who was somebody on YouTube who's really popular, and I had done a video with my altar, my first altar. I was so proud of myself. I was like, oh my gosh, look what I did, And she calls me up and she's like, Deb. I'm like, what? She's like, you have live living people in your pictures on your altar for your ancestor, or your worship. You shouldn't have live people in the pictures. And I was like, oh my God. And my mother's like, so I'm at the store with my mom. She's like, what's going on? I was like, I gotta go home. I gotta take these pictures down. And so I went home and I completely revamped it, and then I got, just pictures of them by themselves, with nobody else in the picture, or if somebody else was in it, they had also passed away. And so, that's what I do. In October, I just start taking out their photos because it just brings it all right back to me as soon as I start looking at their pictures, and, I think it's good because I think that, because it hurts us so much when it's people that we really care about, I kind of not look at the pictures throughout the year because it's just like really, it's really hurtful to me. But I think that when you do it in a context of celebrating, your ancestors, it's different. And again, like you said, celebrating the great things and the good things that they did, and giving them offerings, I think is always great, especially if you can make things that they liked when they were living. And of course, my tradition is coffee, a cigar, Bible, and like a little plate of food of what they like. So that's kind of what I do. And then of course, you do your candle magic. So what do you do, Dia?
Well, for me, I as far as ancestor worship, is actually really odd because I grew up Roman Catholic, and for ancestor worship, I still draw on my Roman Catholic roots. So with that, I when I was close to their cemetery, of course, on the they call it the Feast of All Saints Day, I would go and I would give them, I would go and give them their flower. Well, I would do something home first, obviously on October 31st, which one of my Nana, my great grandmother who passed away, she loved Budweiser, so I would always try to sneak a Budweiser, or if my mom would have it just in the refrigerator. My mom, she's like kind of airy at things like that, but it's like she tries it sometimes, so she would have it she wouldn't do nothing with it, but she'll have it in the refrigerator. So I would sneak one and I would pour it on the ground, and I would light a candle for her, and she loved sheets with flowers on it, so I would try to find like a sheet with flower on it and just cut a little piece of it and bury it somewhere and do things like that. When I got old enough to go to the cemeteries by myself, I would take the Budweiser with me and pour it out on her grave. I haven't been able to do that too much because she's obviously in another state. And
wow,
that cemetery for some odd reason is hard to find. I think she just really liked being left alone.
Right, I'm sure.
For me to find it sometimes.
She's just like, leave me alone. Thank you very much. Don't bother me.
Yeah, but at home, honestly, it's for ancestor altar. I actually have no pictures on the ancestor altar, none. I have things to me that remind me of my ancestors as far as different cultures. Like I have, of course, I'm African American, so I have things that remind me of African American culture. For some reason, I connect to Celtic culture, so I have a little bit of that. I have things that remind me of Egyptian culture. On there, I have a couple of personal items from actual family members that have passed. But as far as pictures, every time I go to put a picture up, I end up taking it right back down. I don't know what that is. And for them, every time I go to put a picture, I take it right back down. But for them, I do I make sure they always, I make sure they always have a fresh glass of water, and the water has always been blessed. They get a candle. My husband actually likes a tea-light candle for them every day. For me, I get a candle once a month or every week. We say a prayer. So for me, me and Glenn had this talk earlier about Samhain. For me, Samhain's not a big deal because in my practice, it's like an everyday thing. So
Right.
it's like Samhain is like it's just another day to have another party. It's just a bigger party.
Right. And that's funny because I do that too. I leave my altar up for months. You know, I leave my altar up for months at a time, and I still give them the offerings. I still do the prayers. I'll still do a little candle, light a candle for them. I think it's only a couple months out of the year that I don't have it up, and I actually just took it down this year because we moved. But I did forget to mention that I have keepsakes of those who've passed on, and that's one of my favorite things about taking those things out because it really makes it more personal to them when I take the things out that were theirs. I'm putting that out, and it really helps to make a connection. So that was another idea, that you brought up that I think it's just great, and it's something that I do, and I think that it just really helps connect them, to your altar, to have those things there. So I don't know. I think it's awesome. When I first learned about it, when I first came into practice and into my spirituality, I kind of was like just lost. Like I didn't know what the hell what I wanted to do. And somebody told me, you know what you need to do? You need to connect with your ancestors. And I was like, well, what they've got to do with it? Like, what? What are you talking about? Like, what does that have to do with anything, And I was like, you know what, girl? You have been on this for so long. You've been on this path for over a year, and you haven't felt a connection to anything. So give it a shot. And I started, with setting up the altar. And I tell you, as soon as I set that altar up, it was like bam. Like I could feel an instant connection finally to something. And I don't know. I think that was when I finally was just like, okay, this feels right. This feels great. So I think that's also one of the reasons why, someone's like so important to me because, in my 40s, I discovered my spirituality. And it was because of, working with my ancestors that I was able to do that. So I don't know. I just love it. It's my favorite time of the year as far as, seasons and things like that. So I'm just like, yay, I found what I was looking for. I felt like I'd been looking forever.
We actually have a caller that pressed 1, and I'm going to announce his now. Basically, I'm going to take the caller who pressed 1, but we're down to the end of the show, and I really don't want to go too much overtime. But the next person that pressed 1 will be the one that actually wins the live reading. So that's what we're gonna do. We're winding down. Before we go into overtime, though, because we're probably going to touch on it a little bit tonight. Miss Azteca Soul Healer, how can people find you and get in contact with you for your services, and what are the services you provide? Because I saw some other stuff besides cleansing that you do.
I'm sorry? You saw some other stuff? Is that what you said?
Yeah, you have some herbs or tinctures that you have.
Oh, yes. Actually, people can contact us at our website, which is aztecasoulhealers.com. All lowercase, and that's the way to get a hold of us. I do make tinctures for different types of ailments and such, and not only do I make them, but I use them myself. So, and the people that I have gifted them to or who have bought them from me have told me that they work for them. So,
yeah,
and
I'm one of them.
Check out the website.
Yeah, no, she has an amazing one. Go ahead.
We're going to go ahead and take the caller. Area code 305, last 4 digits is 6868. What's your name and where you're calling from? I do apologize, you were not the winner, but what's your name and where you're calling from?
Hi, it's Marianne from Miami.
Oh, good.
I should have known this number. Why did I know this number?
I was listening. Oh my God! I was listening to the last digits, and I'm like, why does that sound familiar?
I was like, Debbie's got to know who it is.
Yeah. Oh my God!
I have a question regarding the ancestors. Like I'm adopted, and I heard from someone, and someone I kind of respected, because I don't know that much about it, and I'm learning, but even though I live in Miami, I really don't know that much about, the ancestor worship and the santeros and all of that. And they told me, oh, no, you're adopted. You don't know who your ancestors are. And I'm like, well, shit, that's not fair, you know.
Oh no.
I mean, I have my mother, I had my father, you know, a very, very close friend of mine who I know to be a soulmate. I mean, I can have those, right? I mean, what if those of us who don't know our family lineage, like how can we connect?
Well, that's funny that you asked that. Yeah, you can connect because they know who you are. Yeah,
and
they know who you are.
I did a video on that in a while back, but go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, no, I mean, it's very simple. Yeah, because you obviously you have a blood lineage, no matter what, on either side. And even though you don't know who they are, they know who you are, you know. So your connection will come from them to you. And the more that you work with it and the more you set up your altar and the more that you call them in, you know, the more that they will make themselves known to you. So that's what I say.
Exactly.
So
I did a video.
That mean something to me, like those things that are closest to me, like a sacred space.
Well, yeah. Well, this is what in the video that I did last year. This is what I told people to do. I told people, and this is what, because my family is not very close outside of my great grandmother and my mother, and pretty much basically that particular bloodline. I didn't really know too many people far out after of that. So this is what I did, and this is what I suggested. First make an altar to your higher self, because the higher self is your first ancestor. That's the part of you that's in the spiritual world. So make an altar to your higher self first. Now, as you make an altar to your higher self, of course you're going to put on things that you just naturally attracted to, that you naturally love. Once you do that, you'll notice once you do that, you start telling your higher self you want to get in contact with your ancestors. Now, Marianne, you tap into the Akashic records like that, so this is not going to be a problem for you, boo. So basically,
well, no, but I always thought, you know, I was like turned off because they said, "Oh, you can't," and you know, I don't like people when they tell me, "Oh, you can't."
That's a lie. That's a lie.
That is a lie.
You definitely can. You just have to work differently. Like when most people will start with the most recent dead, you will work from your oldest, basically, like go from your higher self, have your higher self bring you your cultural ancestors, and then as the cultural ancestors come closer, you'll start getting more local ancestors, and you'll be able to tap into, again, your Akashic records for yourself and seeing who these actual people are who have already passed on up until a certain point. Because at a certain point, depending on where your emotions are at, they may not show you, but you can at least get your great-great-great-grandfather, your great-great-great-grandmother, depending on either side. Yes, you can. You can do that. You just start from your cultural background, whatever culture you're called to, because the culture you're called to, regardless of what anybody says, is in your bloodline somewhere. So if you're called to that culture, you're connected to that in a bloodline somewhere. And then as far as when you start looking at soul groups don't necessarily mean DNA. So that's another ancestral line, another ancestral worshipful way of looking at it.
Right.
So you can absolutely,
well, that's
no matter who
interesting,
you
because
are.
I've actually never explored that part of, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, the Akashics are so vast, you know, and I've always been just working with the higher self, but having an altar to the higher self, I find really like ding, 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 it's ringing a bell.
Totally resonates with you. Good job, Dia.
Yeah.
Great question, Marianne.
Thank you.
That's a good question. I do have one more question, though, that was asked to me for somebody who wants to remain private, so I'm not going to ask it. So I'm going to ask it, but I'm not going to say the person's name. They want to know basically how do you get started in this type of stuff, whether ancestral worship or just into a more earthy way of life. I would say like a more natural, earthbound spirituality. How would y'all suggest for someone to get into it? For me, I said it's different for every person, and for me, I got into it through. I started into it, and honestly, you know what? I made a mistake because honestly, I was and being raised in Catholic does have a lot of pagan rituals in it, so I was kind of always in it.
Yes, they do.
But as far as as far as actually recognizing it, I started out in Wicca. And then from Wicca, I went to divination. And then from the divination, it just pulled into other things. And then I got out of Wicca because it just wasn't for me, a personal choice. But I started learning how to do other things. So what do you suggest for someone who wants to start?
You know what? I agree. Because you know what? A lot of this, first of all, Catholicism, whether they want to admit it or not, of course, a lot of it stemmed from paganism. You know, they took a lot of those holidays and made it their own anyway. You know, and so there is a lot of, I mean, you know, listen, anywhere where you have, you know, incantations, with your prayers, and you have incense and you have a sacred altar and a sacred space. Hello, it's pagan. Same thing. I totally agree with you. I started with Wicca, which is very earth-based, very earthy, and that's where the holiday, Samhain basically stems from. So, that's how I started, with just basically just what I felt drawn to, which was the first thing for me. I'm a visual person, so I wanted to get their pictures. I wanted their pictures on my little table. And, of course, it's not really an altar. I mean, it was just a little set, it was just a little night table that I had. So you have to kind of just work with what you have. If this is not, if you're somebody who's just starting out, I mean, you don't have to go out and get an altar and then get a special sacred tablecloth. You just take what you have and you work with what you have. And it's good enough, believe me.
Now, before we get cut off, for those who are listening online, again, to be included in the live reading that we are about to do very soon, which the live reading obviously is going to be in the overtime, please call in. The number is 347-989-8851. Again, it's 347-989-8851, and press the number 1, and you'll be entered, and we'll be taken very shortly. But, Maria, how would you I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you that. Miss Azteca Soul Healer. How would you suggest?
She's got a whole sentence. How did she get the whole sentence? That's not fair. Now I have to come up with something.
But how would you suggest somebody get into it?
Like you ladies have mentioned, everybody comes to this in very different ways. For me, it was herbs. I started studying herbs, and from there, that just connected me to everything.
That makes total
for
sense.
me, that was my connection, and that was my connection. And of course, herbs and all that is very, earthly and such.
Right.
So that's how I started. And from
what
there,
herbs do you think would be good for somebody who wants to kind of work with those who've passed on, or what would be like a couple of, maybe one good herb that would be like an all-around good one that they could work with?
I think an all-around good one that they could work with, I would say mugwort would be one.
Right, yeah, definitely.
Jasmine flowers are also a good one. Herbs that are normally used for divination, those types of herbs I think would be, if you study them, work with them, and that'll, and meditate while you're burning those herbs. I think that's the way to go.
Well, that makes perfect sense, because Dia was like, I told her, I said, do you think I should do a reading for someone live? She goes, well, of course, divination, Day of the Dead, ancestor. I was like, oh, okay, all right, I see where you're going with this. She's like, yes, I think it's a great idea. I was like, oh, okay, I gotcha. So yeah, I mean that makes sense that the herbs that you would use for divination, you could use for working with with the spirit realm.
Exactly.
That makes sense to me. For me, I use lemongrass. I use lemongrass. I use rosemary. I like to use stuff that I can get at a moment's notice, and lemongrass is something I actually can get. And I use rosemary a lot. Other than that, the other two, again, drawing from my Catholic background, I use frankincense and Egyptian myrrh all the time. Those are like, I have other ingredients, but those are the main ingredients that every time have to be in it.
Yeah, totally. And I'm with you on that one.
We have Marianne on here who I would like to ask the same question to her. For someone who's willing to start out into this path, into this lifestyle, Miss Marianne from Akashic Inspirations, what would you, my neglected love, I still love you, even though I should be calling you more. What would you suggest?
I know.
What would you suggest for how people get into this path?
Actually, the way that I started several years, I mean, I've always been into tarot, but on a playful level, let's say, just girlfriends, that type of thing. The real way that I got into it was I was invited to a meditation with my teacher who passed away, with Andreina. Right. And I went in through the healing modality because she gave a class on healing. And I had just come through a very difficult, had cancer. And I had already gone through it, but I thought, gosh, if I could help somebody else, then let me see what this is about. So I kind of went through the healing modality of learning hands-on healing, and it was through a meditation that I just went to do, to learn a little bit more about meditation and to get further into, that practice that you learn in yoga or that you learn just to be able to have that connection with higher self. And that's how I really just started exploring everything after that. Then it just exploded. And then I learned the Akashics, and then that was the end of that.
Yeah, no doubt. And that was Murder, She Wrote. That was the end.
Yeah.
It was all done. It was over.
That was it. So I was hooked. I was hooked. And then, by learning and watching videos of everybody, and when they first said, oh, we're pagan, I always thought, well, I'm not really pagan, and now I realize, of course, I've been pagan all these years.
Right. You just didn't put a name to it, yeah.
Well, because I'm also, from the Catholic Church, so so being pagan has this huge negative connotation.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'm not that. I'm not these strange people with blood sacrifice and
exactly. Wearing hoods, black capes.
Yeah. So, now I realize, it's, more than half the population in the United States is pagan.
Absolutely. They just don't know it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Okay, so now we are actually into overtime, so we are go ahead and take our caller. Huh?
Oh, no, yeah, go ahead. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, we're going to go ahead and take our caller who has actually won the live free reading. So area code 562, last 4 digits of 7195. Again, that's area code 562, last 4 digits 7195. You are our winner. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name's Therese, calling from Long Beach, California.
Oh, good. We're in Cali together. I'm in Tracy.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Well, congratulations. You have won the live reading from Glammy Witch herself.
Thank you.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. And I'm shuffling the cards as we speak.
Now, before you get into the reading, did you have a question or comment?
Me? No, I've been following the show. It's very interesting, actually. I've been enjoying it. Lots of information about, ancestor worship and that sort of thing. It was not anything I've ever really encountered before tonight. It was interesting.
Yeah, awesome. Same here. I was the same way when I heard about it. I was just like, what? No. And then it just kind of hooks you in, It's like it just grabs you. All right, so I pulled a couple of cards, and what I feel like is that there's a couple of things that right now, basically what you want is you want like to be balanced, completely balanced. You want everything in your world to be just kind of on an even keel. I feel like maybe that there was something that kind of didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to, and they're just saying, you know what? Sometimes, just because something maybe not have turned out so much the way that you wanted it to, this is the 5 of water. And in the 5 of water, there's 3 chalices that are tipped over. And the person is concentrating only on the glasses that have tipped over and not at the beautiful 2 chalices that are still standing there in front of them. And what they're just saying to you is that make sure that you're aware of everything that you do have. You have something else. You have other things that are available to you, and that that you can really strive for and be grateful for. And don't worry about the things that kind of disappointed you or maybe didn't turn out that the way that you wanted them to, because the next card that I got is the 9 of water, and the 9 of water is one of the best cards in the deck, which is called the wish card, which means whatever it is that you've really kind of been working on that you kind of want to manifest, it's going to come about, So you just have to kind of just dust yourself off. If there was something that didn't really kind of turn out the way that you wanted, there's other things that are going to replace that. There's other things that are going to come your way to totally make up for it. And that, you're going to get this balance that you really want to just have like that even keel. And was there anything specific that you wanted to know about?
No, actually, I was just waiting to see what the cards had to tell me. General information, whatever they felt was the most relevant for me to know.
Yeah, and then I have the next card that I have is just saying making good business decisions. So I don't know if you've been thinking about doing something on your own. You know, a lot of us, you know, who are independent, we always play around with like entrepreneurial ideas and things like that. So, and then it's interesting because the next card that I get after that, because this one is about making good business decisions, the one following that is the Two of Fire, which is partnering up with someone else to kind of hatch whatever it is that you're wanting to work on or whatever you want to do or you should consider. You know, I always relate it to, like, let's say, you know, you do something really well at your job and you kind of want to just start taking it to the side and doing like maybe consulting or something like that. But, you know, what I feel like is that it's definitely something that you can start looking at is maybe doing something independent, something on your own. And to make sure that, you know, you just look at, because I got the Four of Water again, which is making sure that you really appreciate yourself. You know, make sure that you really understand what an amazing person you are, because I feel like you kind of don't give yourself maybe the full credit that you deserve. And that, you know what, that you have a lot of possibilities opening up for you, and all you have to do is they just want you to look up. I don't know if that makes sense to you. They just like look up, just look up, you know, and then there's something there for you. But I just feel like if you kind of, you know, if you're just going to get the wish card, which means that something that you've kind of been wanting is going to come your way. You know, and they're just saying, you know what, just a little bit of patience and it's on its way.
Well, good, because I'm having a lot of that going on. Actually, I am starting off on my own into a whole different type of career genre, and applying natural skills and trying to parlay that. And I know it's totally new for me, and I'll have to make new connections. But, yeah, I've been thinking on those lines and started actually working on some things. So.
And that what they want you to do is they want you to kind of partner up with someone. They, in a way, not maybe necessarily have them bring them on as a full partner, but somebody that you can kind of pick their brains, and that person will come your way. You know, and when you have that person, do not let them go. Like, just ask them like a million questions. And even if it's not necessarily this person is in the field that you want to go in, but they have a business knowledge that you can totally use, even though you're doing something more of a holistic or a health, and you know, in a different way, not let's say in a corporate way, but that this person can kind of give you some help in other aspects of your business. So when this person comes your way, just be like, okay, you're not moving. You can stay here for 10 minutes because I'm gonna pick your brain, because you have something I need, and you have something that can kind of take your stuff to the next level, you know, and really kind of get it to where, you know, you really need it to be. So, I mean, I just see that this is going to gel for you. Just make sure that, you know, you're constantly looking up, like you're always on the alert, like be on the lookout for something. I think that's why they're telling you keep your eyes up, look up, because someone's going to be coming your way who's going to be able to kind of help you out and give you some information, and it's not going to come from a source that you're going to expect. So that's probably why they're wanting you to keep looking up. Because it's going to come from nowhere, and and I think you're even almost going to bypass this person, and then you're going to say to yourself, wait a minute, hold on, you know, and then you're going to start talking to them and go, oh my goodness, oh yes, I mean, you know, I really need to, you know, talk to you for a few minutes, you know. So I think that what you do, just keep on doing it, you know. I think it's going to be successful.
Great, thank you. I appreciate it, because I've been kind of like vacillating, you know. Well, maybe I just need to get the 9 to 5 going again, and you know, it's hard when you have to do your hustle. I mean, you get used to that hard. 9 to 5 paycheck. Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough, and you have to kind of just make sure that you know that you just, you know, keep your eyes in the skies. Just keep moving forward and just hustle. You know, just keep hustling and look for just keep your eyes peeled for this source of information, for this somebody who, you know, I feel like it's a guy, it could be a woman, and they're just going to give you some information that's kind of going to be like really helpful to you.
Well, there are 2 males that I was actually thinking about in connection to the work I'm doing, to see if they would like to kind of become involved in this. And there are people that are in the field, actually in the field, but again, it's like when you don't know people, you got to kind of inch your way around to get into the areas where you can meet them or talk to them or present something to them.
Right. So. Well, I think that definitely one of them is going to, at least if they're not going to fully, come in with you, that they can offer you some really, really good advice.
Mhm.
And
great.
So I would definitely,
That's all good to know. Thank you. All really relevant too. To what's been going on.
This person is he's kind of the king of the earth. So he's very, very, very professional, but also very practical, and he's generous. So when you do get a hold of him, you're really going to get some valuable stuff from him, because he's the type of person that, although he's extremely professional, he likes to help. If you see somebody doing something similar and they're doing something worthwhile and they're really, getting it together, he'll give you that advice. So, So whoever the King of Earth is, who's more down to earth, grounded guy, this is the guy who's going to go. He's going to give you his time.
The King of Earth, so it's the King of Pentacles?
Correct.
Okay, that told me who I need to talk to then, because it was a toss-up. One's fire and one's earth.
Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely King of Earth.
Wow. Very nice.
Excellent.
Wow. Yeah, thank you.
Well, good news, girl. I'm glad somebody's getting good news. This was a heck of a week for me. I'm just oh, thank God. I didn't want to give anybody bad news.
Yeah, well, sometimes bad news just tells you, detour sign is up. If you don't like this outcome, it's time to make a change.
I don't mind if it's one of my clients. I don't want to do it on the air.
I see what you're saying.
But that's awesome. I think you just keep plugging away. Just keep going at it. Hit it hard.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What an awesome reading.
Yeah, it really is. It's just spot on.
We're going to have to go ahead and put you back on mute because we're going to get ready to end the show. But I do thank you for calling, and I am so happy that you are the one that won, because that was a beautiful reading. I'm glad we need to do another reading for me.
Good. Yeah, tonight's tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling in.
Oh, my gosh, that's so awesome.
Okay. We do have one other caller. I'm going to see if they have questions or comments before we get ready to shut down the show. Caller, area code 919, last four digits 6044. I do apologize, you're not the winner. But do you have any questions or comments for us? Again, area code 919, last four digits 6044.
And tell them that they have to hit one, right? Or did they already do that?
Yeah, they already hit one. They have to hit one for me to see that they want to make a question or comment or come on live. So that they already did. I guess they didn't, so we're going to get ready to shut down the show. Let's start off with
we went over. I'm so sorry.
Well, I kind of figured tonight with the reading and everything that we were talking about, once we get talking.
I know. Forget it.
It's how things go. But we're going to go ahead and start with our guest, Ms. Azteca Soul Healer. Once again, can you tell people how can they get in contact with you?
AztecaSoulHealers.com.
Whoop, whoop.
And, there's a contact page on the website, so email us, give us, let us know what you think about us. We'd love to hear your comments.
Great. I'm looking forward to reading them. Hopefully they're public.
Yeah. And thank you, ladies, so much for inviting me on tonight.
Oh, definitely. It was fun,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you for.
Yeah, because then it'd just be me and Dia, so we just forget about it. I'm sure people wouldn't want to hear us prattling all day. So definitely, so it's fun to have another element.
Like two old ladies talk about anything and everything, and
we
can
talk about anything. We can talk about. Give us any topic. We should do that. We should be like that. Should be like a show. People just call in and throw us a topic, and we just start talking about it.
That'll work for me.
There you go.
Miss Marianne, I know you're still on. My beautiful, again, neglected lover, I'm so sorry. Can you tell people how to get in contact with you and what you actually do?
Oh, okay. Well, thanks. They can always contact me on my website, which is KashicInspirations.com, or check me out on YouTube at the same name, Kashik Inspirations, and watch my videos. And I do tarot and oracle in conjunction with the Akashic Records, meaning that they're channeled messages from your guides and your master teachers.
Do you do readings, Marion?
Yes, I do. I can't understand.
Oh my God! This is
every day, and people
I
ask
know.
me, "Do you do readings?" Like, no. Of course I do readings.
Isn't that hysterical? People message her and ask her if she does readings. So I had to throw that in there just to be annoying.
I'm about to be very annoying because while I got you both on the phone, is there a special reading that y'all do together? Miss Mary,
actually, and we haven't done it in a while. We do a double reading.
We play off of that's one of them. What's the other one? There's another reading that you do too. What's the other one? It has something to do with channeling.
Oh, the light language?
Light language.
Mhm.
Yes. And your point is?
At the point it's advertised. Duh. I was trying to hit and be nice, but you want me to be direct advertising.
I don't know, girl. All I know is, look, you want a reading from me, go to Glammy'sAngels.com. There you go.
Okay, so was that your way of advertising yourself, Glammy? Because I was about to go to you next. Are you done that fast?
Yeah, I'm done that fast. No, I just, I do readings. Some of my favorite ones are the relationship ones. And so you could go to Glammy'sAngels.com, and everything's right there on the homepage.
All right. Well, I'm going to thank our lovely host and owner of this channel, Jade, and she has her own show on her. Yeah, she has her own show on Erotic Talk Radio every Thursday night at I want to say 9 p.m. Please, I'm sorry if I'm wrong with the time. You always check the time. But she has her own show. It's a beautiful show. It's Erotic Talk Radio, so of course sex is involved, but it's not just sex. It's actually the spiritual aspects and other things involved in it with tantra, chakras, healings, and all that other stuff. We may actually be able to do a collab show because I know Glammy's into that.
Oh, yeah.
So
that'd be
look
awesome.
out for that real soon. As for me, you can contact me on my website, OrioOasis.com. You can find me on social media, OrioOasis, ORISOASS.com. You can also find me now on Fridays as one of the co-hosts of Witches of the Moon on YouTube. For anything else, you can find me on Amazon. I have 3 children's books out that are spiritual children's books for our witchy kids, our pagan kids, or just our spiritual kids who want to know a little bit more, parents who want to learn with their kids. Just go on Amazon.com and look up OrioOasis, ORISOASIS. And other than that, you can also find me every Tuesday night on the Gumbo Cafe at 11 p.m. Eastern on Woman Talk Radio. And anything else right now, my brain is blank, so I'm going to go ahead and say, well, most people say, please just Google me because it's a lot.
Yeah, no doubt, girl. Just give them one place to go.
Right. I need to just give everybody just one place to go. But for now, it has been a blast. But I do not want to go too much more time over time.
Yeah.
Miss Marianne, we definitely got to bring you on as a guest pretty soon. Miss Maria, thank you so. Why am I keep calling you that? Miss Azteca Soul Healer.
There you go. There you go.
So much. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure.
I love you both. It was our pleasure as well. Glammy, you know I love you, and I'm always happy anytime I get to work with you. So thank you so much for, willing to do the show with me. And, guys, catch us next month. I believe our next show will be on the 14th, but we haven't locked it in yet. So everybody stay blessed. Keep your spirituality very practical, very simple, very common sense, and peace.